1280 Oak Terrace, Lake Oswego, Oregon. Are there any speakers related to closed session topics? Okay. Okay, the board will now convene to closed session. And that's why we do it. We're still on audio.
The board will now convene open session and report out from closed session. As mentioned earlier, take notice that trustee Shamsa Rafay is participating remotely this evening from 1280 Oak Terrace, Lake Oswego, Oregon. Open session of the Board of Education meeting is live on YouTube. Visit the NHUSD Board of Education website for the link. If you're attending online via Zoom, use the raise hand feature to indicate you wish to provide public comment. Phone participants, please, you should press 9 to be added and wait to be called on. Members of the community may submit public comments to the board via email at publiccomment@nhusd.k12.ca.us before each meeting. The board received 0 public comments via email for tonight's meeting. I would like to remind the community that the board will not respond to questions posed by those making public comments relative to closed sessions items number 3.2 and 3.3. The board took no action. Relative to item 3.1, the board in closed session by unanimous vote voted to release employee number 7891 relative to government code section 54956.8. Vice President Kumar will now preside over the next section of the agenda. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. Will the audience please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Here. Okay.
Here.
Here.
May I have a motion and second to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Here. Oh, here. Oh, wait, sorry.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Ishiguro. Okay.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Can I have a volunteer to read the land acknowledgement tonight?
I can.
Thank you, President Gonzalez.
Okay, we want to open this meeting by acknowledging and respecting with respect and love that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chochenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in the past context as if they left on their own accord when the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, and U.S. colonization. By recognizing we stand on occupied indigenous territory of the Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to Native leadership and stand in solidarity with people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present. I'll go ahead and reclaim the, thank you, Vice President Kumar, for presiding over that section. We're going to go on to public comment at this time. Are there any blue speaker request forms to address the board on topics outside of the scheduled agenda?
Yes, we have one speaker. Thank you. First speaker is, and only speaker is Chuck Kennedy.
Oh, good evening, Superintendent Thompson and trustees of the school board. My name is Chuck Kennedy. I'm a teacher at neighboring Mount Eden High School. And I live in Union City and within Area 2. on the election districts. Last week, I filed candidacy papers for the Area 2 seat on the school board. And there was one candidate who had already filed, who is a good and dedicated person, but whose values, I believe, are a little bit more conservative than mine. When Trustee Hernandez did not become a candidate for the seat by Friday's deadline, the county rules automatically extended the filing deadline into this week. Today, Melanie Freeberg filed papers and qualified to join the ballot for the Area 2 seat. I know Ms. Freeberg to be a mother of special needs kids in the district, and I'm pleased to say that she shares most of my values as they relate to educational goals, treating students with dignity and respect, supporting teachers and staff, and spending taxpayer money judiciously. I found myself in the position where we have three candidates in a race where there will be only one winner. Two of us have similarly aligned values, and in a three-way race, the public's votes for one value system would be split between two candidates, and the person with the minority opinion could end up the winner. I believe that the public's interests are best served with only two candidates in the race, so that the election will truly be about values rather than about personalities. For that reason, I have decided that I will withdraw my candidacy for the good of the district and ask everyone who has supported me to transfer your support to Melanie Freeberg. And I'd like to
Thank you.
and fire my campaign manager, Cherie Crocker-Root, and my treasurer, Raylene Gatchell, for offering their hard work on my behalf.
I'm
And
sorry
I'd like
about
to
it.
assure you that I will continue to work with the New Haven Schools Foundation for the betterment of the district, including grants to teachers and schools and scholarships for the incredible students. And thank you very much for allowing me to address you.
Thank you. Our next speaker,
No more blue cards. Do we have any Zoom?
hey, how about items that are on the agenda? Do we have any speakers? Okay, or Zoom? Okay, moving on. All right, we'll go to Union President's Report. Is there anybody here from CSEA? Is our president from CSEA here? I do not see him president, so we'll go on to NHDA President, Joe Angeles.
Good evening, President Gonzalez, Vice President Kumar, Secretary of FAA, trustees, student trustee, welcome to the board. I want to just kind of reiterate again, we're back at this place of a new year. I got to say, it started with a newfound conversation at the Leadership Advance. We're invited once again to share the thoughts of going forward with a strategic plan and what it takes for the New Haven teachers to be part of that planning and implementing some of the things that were described at that session. We look forward to working with that to make sure those strategic plans can come to light and make a change for what's happening here in New Haven. Along with that, the start of the year conversation, bringing all staff together went very well. As you hear, you'll have a more detailed conversation from Director Zetha about some of those conditions that she described at the opening thing. I think it was a very well thought of plan to reintroduce excitement of our staff and their years of service and recognize them for the years of service. So I, again, appreciate Derek and Miss Camila for putting that together and bringing it back into light for staff. I had very much a positive reply from that occasion. The other thing, again, I also want to thank the invitation from New Haven Unified to share the table at Union City Night Out. It was a nice place to be, talking with the community, talking with community members about our interests and collaboration with us. So I look forward as that conversation continues. Last, I'd like to ask President Gonzalez for his consideration As you know, unfortunately, we lost a very valued teacher right at the end of summer before school started. Stephanie McCarron, who was a member at Hillview Crest, and would like to maybe perhaps consider adjourning this meeting tonight in her memoriam and honor for her service to the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to presentations. We have a presentation. This is the District African American Advisory, also known as D3A. They're going to provide their annual presentation to the Board of Education tonight.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, President Gonzalez and trustees, superintendent, cabinets, and members of the public. I'm Lydia Edom. I'm outgoing chair of the District African American Advisory. Served in my second term this past school year, and it is my privilege and honor to present to you tonight our annual report of District African American Advisory, also known as the D3A, and really give our state of, I guess I would say the state of Black students and staff in New Haven Unified School District. No. Do I point it somewhere? Okay. So a little bit about the D3A, if you don't know, it's a district level advisory group comprised of majority Black parents, staff, admin, and community members. But our group is inclusive. And so we have principals, assistant principals, and teachers across our district from all of our schools of all walks of life. We are currently housed under the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement. I bring this up because the group started in 2014, actually under the Office of the Superintendent. Probably 2 years ago, we were under the Office of Teaching and Learning. And now with the establishment of the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement, along with all the other parent groups, that is where we are currently housed, and with our liaison director, Setha Nobles. Why we exist. We exist to advise the district in the planning, development, implementation, and evaluation of programs that support diversity, equity, and inclusion, generally around Black wellness of our students and staff, and Black student achievement more specifically. We acknowledge that these efforts have increased wellness and achievement across the district for all of our marginalized groups, student segments. With the establishment of an MOU in 2019 with this board, we report annually about our activities and provide recommendations for what we've seen and heard from parents in our district. So we had 9 meetings this past school year. We meet on the first Monday of every month, starting in September. We averaged around 20 attendees representing 9 to 10 schools. District leaders, our assistant superintendent, Lee Stevens, has presented. Of course, our director, Setha Nobles. We've had not Victor. We've had other presentations around our equity work, but also around CSACE data, student achievement data across our school sites. So not just at a district level, but also disaggregated to see it at the different sites. And of course, our Black History Month activities. We have cultural pride activities, which is a standing agenda item, which highlights New Haven students and community members. And ultimately, D3A once a month is a safe space for our community. We often hear from parents of our Black students with concerns of safety and acts of racism, but which allow dialogue between administrators, both at the district level and the site level, to offer to support and respond. But we also get to hear best practices across our sites. We get to facilitate an exchange of ideas on how best to support Black students, also Black teachers at our sites, and help families navigate. We've often had new families to our district come to our meetings just to get a sense of community, to better navigate their own school systems. And this is really why we exist. It's really to bring a sense of community for our community in this district. All right, I think one of our highlights is a Black graduation that we host every single year. This year is new at the Performing Arts Center. It was a beautiful event back in May. And we have awarded every year since 2014, we've awarded the Dream Scholarship. This year we awarded $11,000 to 13 students and hit a milestone of over 78,000 since the inception of the scholarship to 80 Black students. So the Dream Scholarship was established as a response to the concern from Black families in our district that Black students were not being recognized in scholarships or at the district level in their achievements. And as a response to that, the D3A stepped in and established the Dream Scholarship and have awarded over $78,000. 80 recipients. We're excited about this year. We expect to hit the 100,000 mark in scholarship awards. So our new partnership with the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement started last year with the establishment of that office. And this year's work centered on a partnership around the N-word. And so last year, if you recall, we reported to the board as a recommendation here that we wanted to have board policy and administrative regulations and establish a new culture within each of our sites around the weaponization of the N-word against Black students and staff. We've seen a rash of graffiti, racist graffiti at our different schools. We've gotten reports nearly every month from different parents, new and returning, about acts of racism and essentially violence against their students. And so we set out this past school year to start that work. And that work started with just having I think we held 4 parent-only forums. And so if you come to a D3A meeting, our meetings are heavily school staff. And we first wanted to have a space with just parents to be able to tell us their experiences and tell us what they thought about the elimination of the N-words in school. And we have a range of opinions on this matter. We are not a monolith and we don't all agree on the best way to approach that, even though we do agree that the word is violent and has strong implications against the wellness and ultimately achievement of our students. So we had help for forums. And then finally, around December, we had this conversation with the entire D3A, which again includes teachers and principals. And we had a great conversation. We had a really great conversation. We heard from concerns around teachers, around implementing such a policy. We've also heard a lot of consensus that there is agreement that the word is harmful, and some concerns of how they would navigate it, how would they address students in the act of it. And so the conversations continued all school year. And in February, we held a student forum. And it was really important to our parents that we heard from students and that we got student voice on this matter. Because ultimately, it's not just Black students using the N-word. Let's be clear about that too. It's all kinds of students using this word. And so we heard from our parents that it was important that we got the students' opinions about the word itself, the use, and how they felt about a policy or a rule around its use. And so we held that in February. I want to thank Trustee Lance for Nishihira for being there to hear firsthand from students. We had students at the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level, and there is a consensus that the word is used, even as young as 8-year-olds in the 3rd grade are using this word all the way through Logan. And so hearing directly from our students about the use, how it makes them feel, and even how they feel about eliminating it. We've partnered up with the district, and I'm going to be kind of introducing the work that has been advanced and will roll out this year. We're really excited about the work that is done. I know it's culminated into a workshop, well, I call it a workshop that Director Nobles first presented to a class in Logan, our Black life skills class, around the history around the N-word. So what we find is that a lot of students don't know the origin and don't understand its violent history. And so, which has led to the kind of the proliferation and normalization of its use, yes, and through pop culture as well, but that was an enlightening. She also ran a survey and got some data points around that. And that informed and further informed this workshop that she presented at the California State, oh, I'm gonna mess up the name, aren't I? CASA, all right. So basically, state superintendents and staff around the state. She presented this workshop and it got a lot of great feedback. So I don't think it's surprising that a lot of districts are grappling with this, but I think what was a pleasant surprise in the feedback was that there was consensus in the way that New Haven was looking to address that. And so with that, you're going to hear more about what is being rolled out at our sites with a student compact with some language around the board policy that's going to be revised. These are recommendations that particularly around board policy that we made last year. And so we're really pleased that within one school year that our district has supported us and ultimately supported our students for their safety. And I think it's important that we continue to foster safe environments. And I know a lot of us feel like our schools are safe. But when it comes to this word, it's a very violent environment for our students. And so we are excited about the work that is being done around this particular initiative by our district. And I really do commend Superintendent Director Nobles, Assistant Superintendent Stevens, who have taken the lead on this. We're also excited to hear the feedback from the various bargaining units, because we know that the teachers will be on the front line on implementing this first resolution and then board policy and then compact. And so we are happy to hear the positive feedback from teachers when it was rolled out last Monday. And so our activities as a D3A are not just meetings, we have fun too. So we participate at New Haven Day. In its second year, this is our second year being at New Haven Day. It is a great time. This year we introduced dominoes to our community. And so the kids had a blast counting by fives and parents had a blast learning how we play dominoes. And we learned that there's a Mexican dominoes as well. So this is really fun. It's a really fun event. I commend the leadership for New Haven Day because it's just a lot of fun. And D3A gives us a chance to get together to see some of us. We normally meet on Zoom, so to be together in person is always a good time. Black Celebration is our Black graduation. It was May 18th this year, and we recognize all of our scholars who are transitioning. So not just the Black seniors, but we also recognize our Black 8th graders who are transitioning to high school and Black 5th graders who are transitioning to the middle school. And so, like I said, the first time I was at the Performing Arts Center, and it was beautiful. And so we were really pleased to continue this tradition and look forward to this year's celebration as well. So our scholars, we awarded 13 students, 13 seniors at Logan, and they're going to they are currently enrolled in these current in universities from UCLA to Sacramento State to UC Davis, UCSF, LSU. And so we're really proud of their accomplishments and really had an amazing keynote speaker who, just sends the kids off with encouragement that we hope they carry into the new year. So you'll see the poster on the left is our student forum. And it's actually a tradition that we've done for several years in D3A, is that we hold a meeting to hear from the students. It's usually around their experience in the schools. This year, like I mentioned, we centered it on not just their school experience, but their experience with the N-word and how it makes them feel, you know, and is there discipline around it, all of those kind of things, instead of us as parents assuming. We ask the students directly. But this is something we always do every year, is host a student forum and hear directly from our students. We have a fundraiser. Really, those proceeds go towards the Dream Scholarship. We had one to commemorate Black History Month at the end of February this year. And so our results are I think our biggest results is not mentioned here, but I did go into depth with it, is the N-word initiative, as we've called it. And that's being rolled out this year, but it really came after a year of a lot of conversation and work and meetings. I didn't highlight the meetings that the D3A board, which consists of myself, Amir Johnson, who's a vice president, our secretary, Karan Smith, and Lily Turner, our timekeeper and parliamentarian. It consisted of a lot of conversations with the district leadership and us as a board that we carried back to the group, and also carried their voice into these meetings as well. We've been a part of the consultant work around equity for many years. This is just a highlight of a couple of the most recent consultants, like I said, Parent Outreach, and we really support the dignity and belonging work that Director Nobles has been rolling out for the past 2 years as professional development for staff. And so our impact, 10 years, I said that D3A was established in 2014. So this school year actually marks our 10th year in existence. And I really want to call up Lily Turner to talk about our impact, because she has been with D3A since inception. She can speak to this incredible impact. I've had a little bit to do with it, but I always give her all the kudos. She's my predecessor. And I just, would love for you to come up and just speak to what you've seen in the district, where we are, and 10 years of D3A.
Thank you.
All right, good evening to the board. I'm Lily Turner. I am one of the charter members of D3A and have been a parent here in New Haven for more than 25 years. And so I've been committed to this work and committed to this district. My youngest student just graduated with her master's, so I have no children in the district. However, I continue to be committed to this work. And so what you're seeing here on this slide is the highlights of the accomplishments of the D3A and the impact that we've had over the last 10 plus years in partnership and in collaboration with the superintendent, the current superintendent, the previous superintendent, and the administrative staff and the board, because, we were 2019 is when we presented and was awarded the board MOU. And so we have 5 strategic goals and that we have for D3A. And what you're seeing here is that we have had impact and we've had accomplishments over all 5 of our goals. And we find that to be pretty exciting. Prior to COVID, as we talk about student achievement, we saw 4 years of consistent improvement in graduation rates. We know COVID had its impacts, but we aren't going to minimize the achievements that we had prior to it. Equity, access, and achievement. I'm going to say, again, having been in this district for more than 25 years, having the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement really has helped us put feet on the street and has shown commitment by the district on your commitment to get this work done. And it is an investment, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I want you to know that it's a worthwhile investment. I'll just share, I ran into a student at the grocery store yesterday, and their parent And they stopped me to talk about, the impact that D3A has been having on their students. I've had other parents stop me again at the grocery store or in the community to say, my student was in trouble and struggling, and we thought my student was going to get expelled. And I came to a meeting and you helped me to navigate the system. And that student was then graduating, and, it was around graduation time. So he was wearing his medal that he received at the D3A graduation ceremony. And so when we talk about the achievements, it's not the achievement of performance is important. The achievement of emotional and social safety is critical. And without that, the other things just really fall apart. It becomes, that emotional and social safety is critical. So we're seeing the impacts of that. I'm just looking. So Lydia talked about the Dream Scholarship. Prior to that, we had students honestly get accepted to Harvard and did not receive any scholarships. And honestly, that was unacceptable. So we said, we're not going to sit around and complain about it. We're going to get up and do something. And so that's how we started the Dream Scholarship Program. You saw from the previous slide that we honored our Dream Scholar. That is our the Black valedictorian, and they continue to be honored through our Wall of Fame. Lastly, I wanted to just point out, where is it? A reduction in the discipline and chronic absenteeism. And that has been, again, a partnership and a collaboration between the D3A and the district staff. Again, placing focus to say what's actually going on. It's not about just reducing numbers. It's about getting to the heart of the problem so that then we kill the spider and we just don't sweep the webs. Because if we don't kill the spider, the webs come back. And so it's been really concerted effort. And I want to, again, thank Superintendent Thompson and his staff for the commitment that's been made in the efforts to address the needs of the Black community. Thank you.
Okay, so our recommendations and requests for next year, 24-25. And so we're going to really harp on funding for the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement. And so I watched a board meeting where the funds were silently cut from the TOSA team that is under that office. And we had a great discussion in our following D3A meeting about those cuts and what the office is going to look like and how it's going to continue the great work that it has started last year or in the last 2 years. And while we are confident that the district remains committed to this work and that the team in its new iteration will push into the schools in the way that they will be able to and have new models like training the trainers of the school sites. We really believe that we need to find the funding to continue to fund this team. I'd like to see it more robust as it was in its first year. And so we are recommending that the board looks at the budget and finds funds to further to continue the funding of the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement. We're at a critical cusp, I believe, especially with the rollout of some of these new policies and to shift the New Haven culture, one that's more safe for Black students, very specifically. And this work can't be done without funding. And so our hard ask is for continued funding for this team and for this office. We support, we are asking for the board to support the district initiatives to endorse the elimination of the N-word with some items that you're going to see tonight, and to continue to support the Social Justice Academy for the elementary and middle school. Really heartened to see it happening in this past summer. My first term as president of this group, I remember that program was eliminated for various reasons. And so happy to see it come back. Happy that it's extended into elementary and middle school. It's a great stepping stone as these kids get into Logan and into the academy or into the ethnic studies program there. And then we're going to continue to just maintain that we eliminate this culture of hate. It's been insidious for many years. I think it's been very silent. And we're just bringing, this forum actually allows us to bring voice to it. We want to enforce a culture. We want your support for the district to enforce a culture that promotes wellness in both verbal and nonverbal communications, and not just the explicit racist use of the word or any words, but also even in familiar context. What we have learned from our students is that just by hearing the word used against somebody else, they feel harm. And so we really are looking for your support and for the district to continue to enforce a culture that promotes wellness. We want to institute measures that track incidents at the sites. We believe that the measures that should go into place this year will help us to do that, collecting data on the use of the word. And we know this work will be led by the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement. We believe that's correctly housed there. We are eager to see the changes to the board policy against the weaponization of the N-word against Black students. And I want to also add here just to continue the dignity and belonging PD. And I know the district is leadership is firmly behind that work and just asking the board to support that work, but also with funding. And so thank you so much for your time tonight. Again, just a nod to the past board. We are looking forward to another year of partnership with the district and your support in the initiatives that we are really proud of that are rolling out this year. I'll take any questions from the board.
Okay, let's go ahead with, I see the first hand I seen is Vice President Kumar.
First up, thank you so much. Thanks for everything you do, and thanks for taking the time to present. I really look forward to the D3A presentation every year. So
Thank
this is
you.
great. Thank you. I had two questions. One was the students on the Dream Scholar Wall of Fame. Do you all keep in touch with them? Do you hear from them? Do they come talk to our students at meetings?
So they don't come to our meetings, but we do hear from them around Black graduation time. Some of them do come back. Some of them have siblings. So we do hear from them. And some of them we have personal relationships with. So we know that they're doing well in their schools. But yeah, we do tend to hear from them, but mostly around graduation time when they're back, they get out of school earlier than the students. So yeah, we do hear from them.
That's great. And secondly, the survey data that was presented at the CASA workshop, is it possible for you to share that? with
Yes,
me?
I believe so.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Trustee Nisharan.
Thank you for all of the work that you do, it's dedicated work, it's thankless work, I know, but it's important work. And thank you to Chair Lydia as well as Lily. I know Lily's been dedicated in the district for as long as I was on school site council and at Cesar Chavez Middle School many years ago. And it's good to see that work is that you're still chugging along and doing that work. What I would love to do, or at least think about for our district, there are a lot of similar problems in other groups that's actually very similar to D3A. And we talk about it from time to time. It would be great if we were to identify those groups and maybe put all of you in collaboration with each other so you can learn best practices, how to facilitate the types of meetings that you do, how to agendize topics, how you do work sessions. Because as you mentioned, I was at the meeting in February where we heard from students. And when you hear from students, you actually hear insights that you won't get in a survey.
Right.
And I thought that was very, very useful. One of the things that we tend to struggle with is, when there are either acts of either being bullied for any particular reason, whether it be your religion or your race or whatever, many times those instances go unreported because nobody wants to do the full report or they don't want to make it into a big deal. I would love to see engagement that we have with students that can encourage them to come forward and be more comfortable in having that uncomfortable conversation. So thank you for everything that you do, and I hope that the work that your group has pioneered, that you can learn from other groups and other groups can learn from you, because together, we're gonna make a big difference as a group, because you know, the whole is bigger than the sum of their parts. So thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, thank you. So there are some movement in collaborating amongst the parent groups. Zethis spoke with me about that already. So collaboration's at the heart of how I advocate. And so I attend the Latino Parent Advisory Committee here at the district as well. And they're so kind. I'm like, no, speak Spanish, it's fine. Like, I can hear it a little bit. And they've told us, like, they've said to us, the way you guys advocate, the way you guys get to the board, the way you get your meetings, like, how do you do this or why? And I also say, give them suggestions as well. So that's happening. I do that on my own accord. I just think collaboration with other parent groups. So we have similar challenges, but also different ones. And some of us are just further along in how we attack those. And I think together as a voice of parents, it's always, like you said, it's just always more powerful. So I've been doing that on my own, still trying to get to a DLAC meeting. But yes, we are doing that. And there's efforts by the Office of Equity, Access, and Achievement. All the parent groups are housed there. And so Zethis, has Director Nobles has made some suggestions to me just around like a parent summit, which I have been a part of in previous districts. So that work is coming. But just as an individual parent whose heart is in collaborative advocacy for students, I've already just made those kind of strides and just attending different parent group meetings when I can.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Trustee Hernandez.
First, I want to say thank you so much for all the hard work that you guys do day to day. As Lance said, it's needed. It is needed. It's dire for our district, for our community, honestly, for our world. I just want to say thank you again. I'm really excited, and I was actually going to make a point to ask about collaborative partnerships, not just with the district and our parent groups, but also with our multiple cultural parent groups. And that makes me so excited to hear that that's already in the works, and I can't wait to hear more. So thanks again.
So I will add to that point that the Superintendent's President's Council, or is now the District Advisory Council, kind of was a catalyst for that, because Amir and I both attended as D3A parents, but you were in attendance, and there were other parent group leadership in attendance there. And once she and I get the ball rolling on the questions, everybody starts asking the questions. And so it was really good. And those women told me at the Latino Parent Advisory, like, thank you for your questions, because they made us feel more comfortable asking questions, but your questions actually made sense and made us also think. So I think that advisory council kind of spearheads that, and it really allows us to interact with each other in a way that we haven't. So I've talked to Assistant Superintendent Stevens, like, you guys have to hold this more than once a year. Like, we should come together more often, just for the sake of being able to interact with each other as parent leaders, and just to hear from each other and to learn from each other, like you all have stated. So yeah, I look forward to more of that happening as well, at various levels throughout the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Liddy, for your presentation. Thank you for your work you're doing in D3A. And this N-word initiative, we're front runners in our district.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking on this issue, and other districts are looking at us
Yeah.
for models.
Yeah.
They're really looking at us. My own that I work for is looking at the work we're doing, the great work, and it's because of you and Lily and everybody, our staff that's come together and worked on this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna let the superintendent talk about the collaboration with the districts. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
We're gonna go ahead and move on, that's right, okay. All right, we are now on the next part, which is local performance indicator, self-reflection. Mr. John Matos is gonna go ahead and present along with Derek McNamara.
Yes, thank you, President Gonzalez, members of the board. I'm gonna open it up and really Derek's gonna do most of the heavy lifting here on this one. You'll remember in June that I came before you and talked about the local indicators. The local indicators being information that districts kind of do a self-evaluation on our performance in a number of different measures, such as access to curriculum, access to classes, our safety materials, all those sorts of things. And one of the items that's on that local indicators is teacher credentialing. And at the time, it's always me. At the time, that teacher achievement data or teacher credentialing data was not available, and it became available after the required presentation to the board in June. And so statute requires that since that teacher assignment monitoring outcome data has become available, we come back to you and just briefly give you an explanation. It'll be, it's important to note that the data that we're going to be looking at, that Mr. McNamara is going to be speaking to, is 22-23 data. The idea of monitoring teacher assignments started in 2019 when the California State Legislature put into place this system to annually monitor teacher credentialing. And so what happens is in the fall, we upload through CalPADS all of our courses and all of our teacher credentials. And the state then does a quick review. Well, they're doing 22-23 and it's 24, so maybe not too quick. Does a review and analysis to see how we're doing, and then compared to the county and compared to the state. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. McNamara, who's going to kind of go over the results.
Great. President Gonzalez, Superintendent Thompson, members of the board. So on this, when 2019 did happen and this bill went into effect and then COVID hit, and as you know, it was very difficult for districts to hire teachers in general. So this made it doubly difficult. Luckily, in our district, we were able to be fully staffed in all the years, just about. In fact, it was only at different times during the year if someone went out ill, someone was sick, that we did have a vacancy. So in any case, if you look at these definitions that are provided by the TAMO, so clear, people are good, they have their credential exactly how it's supposed to be. People who are out of field, if you've ever heard of GLAPS and CLAPS, these are people who are these limited assignments. You get a 1-year waiver basically to be able to do a position in general ed or special ed. That's what out of field means. So it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. They're actually people who, I'll give you an example. We have some people who are really wanting to be in a particular area. They're not a math teacher, but maybe they taught core all these years and they go back and get to their credential. They have to get something like a GLAP and they could actually have a waiver for a year, just for 1 year to do something out of their credential area. They're still okay to teach, but it has to be identified by that. The other piece is something like BCLAD. Even though BCLADs are very rare, I mean, it's very hard to find good teachers, especially for all the dual immersion classes we have. But when we have someone with a BCLAD, it is technically an authorization. Just like someone who doesn't have a math credential has a math authorization, that is something that's not quite the same, but it's still something that's approved and it's allowed. BCLAD also comes up as a hit when you see it on this sheet. You'll see that someone with a BCLAD shows that someone is out of field, which is kind of strange to me. But it is someone who is actually doing the work and understands and how to teach these students. Interns is pretty self-explanatory. These are people working towards their credential in an area. Ineffective it seems like a very harsh word, but when someone is a PIP or a STIP, these are like provisional waivers and permits. That's what these are. And so this is something that also goes through Sandy Haro, who's my credential analyst. If someone is going to apply for one of these positions, then they get it for a year, they finish their coursework, and then they become qualified after. But in that year, even though they're doing exactly what they're supposed to, they're legal, it still comes up as a hit when they do this on their monitoring. Incomplete is pretty self-explanatory. They have not, for whatever reason, shown something in their things they've turned in, whatever it is to CDE, they do not have all the information. CTC can't say exactly that they have a credential and authorization, and that's when they have to work with us. By the time of this being audited, if the information's not fully uploaded, it may come back as an incomplete. Unknown and unapplicable. I'm not going to really go over that. This is the TAMO outcome that Mr. Matos was speaking to. I will point to one when I looked at this myself, because again, it's 2-year-old data and it's pulled at a time right around seabeds. The one that kind of stuck out to me when you see a large percentage is incomplete in the CTE section. So I asked Sandy, so what is that? One thing is this, that is, most of those teachers are ROP teachers that are not New Haven employees, but they do work with our students. And what happens is, she was explaining to me actually earlier this week that when you see that, it's because when this gets taken in seabeds, she has them listed as a vacancy, even though ROP has them listed as a teacher. So that's one of the weird disconnects, but that's why that's listed like that. Those are not necessarily our teachers. The rest of them are pretty straightforward. If you have any questions about any of those at the end, I can answer some of those. Many of them, especially when they are in the out of field area, sometimes we have people who come to you, we bring to you, they are local board assignments because they're teaching ukulele or they're teaching one class that's really not their area, but because they've had some expertise in it, we allow them to do that. That might show up there. This is all those areas compared to Alameda and statewide. You'll see out of field, you'll see ineffective, incomplete. Those are the ones we're looking at. Ineffective is the one we probably look at the most. New Haven's actually doing pretty good in that area. But again, if you have any questions about that, that's just some data that Mr. Matos thought we would want to show, and I think we're obligated to show. And I'll take any questions that you might have, or Mr. Matos can answer any questions as well.
Are there any questions from the board? Trustee Michelle?
Yeah.
Hi, thanks a lot. I've been on the board for a long time, and this is the first time I recall actually seeing this level of detail. I guess the question that I have is, what's the best way to think about this from the board level? In other words, how do these credentialing numbers fold into the work that's the purview of the board? For example, the types of things that we work on. What's the best way to kind of put what you shared with us into some type of action? Like, what's the best way for us to think about this?
Part of it is, I know the superintendent has given us, when we create a strategic plan, one of the things we do is trying to make sure we get the best people. And so recruitment is a big piece. And so one of the things that we do when you approve the strategic plan and we do the whole LCAP is that if we need more money to push into an area of recruitment, maybe we need to go in a way where we send people on more, that might be something that could actually address this. And the superintendent is very supportive of that. Lee Stevens is also someone that would want that to happen. Areas like with Sarah Kapler, I know that she specifically works with Camila Green when they go to different recruitment fairs. They take teams, and so, but it costs money, right, to pay people to go on those. And so I have a budget that we do, but maybe that's something that we'd want to increase in certain areas. When Tracy Noriega was here as a director, she used to go to different conferences, and I would pay part of my budget for them to actually do recruitment for me if I couldn't be at that. And so it's things like that that are sort of, that would be an area of focus that I said, if it comes to the board, that would be something you'd want to support, I would hope, because that is something that completely can answer some of these questions when we need to get people in credential areas or to fund people to get more training to get credentialed in those areas. That's something that the board would approve.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I have a question or comment. When I seen this data, it's very confusing. A lot of outliers on there. Anyways, I asked the superintendent about that, but going back to the slide, I noticed the foreign language kind of, we fall short there. If a future teacher is going into the credentialing and wants to get a job in New Haven, is it wrong to say a foreign language where there's a need there? You can
Huge.
There's a huge need. Okay.
And it really depends, but you saw probably in the last couple of years how difficult it is to find anyone with, say, Punjabi. That's, even though it's kind of unique to our district, it's very difficult to find anyone with that. French, we had lost a teacher actually who had passed away, who was our French teacher. Almost impossible mid-year to find somebody anywhere in the state with a French teaching credential. So it is pretty unusual. I didn't realize how difficult that was to fill because we sort of had people just rolling forward all the time. sign language. That's been another challenge, right? So I do think that's something that if people are looking for positions that there is a high need, that's one of them. Chemistry and physics and all that is important too. But yeah, definitely foreign language sticks out to me as well in that.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go on to information items. This is 10.1, required quarterly reports. This is regarding complaints filed under the Williams complaint procedure. This is for quarter 4. Is Ms. Stevens or?
I can handle it. There's nothing to report. We had no complaints.
Okay. Wonderful. All right, moving on to 10.2. This is an update on the district's dignity and belonging work.
And I'll give that. Ms. Edom and D3A and Ms. Turner did a fantastic job of framing the work for the year. And what I thought I would do is just kind of it's not a presentation, just kind of a preview of what's coming. So as their presentation pointed out, we've spent a lot of time having really detailed and sometimes difficult conversations around this work. And we ended up at the end of last year in a really good place, which was under Zetha's really stewardship through it, getting to a place where we have come to the conclusion that the N-word has no place in our district. And regardless of how people might view it at home or in what context it takes place, just not here. So that work came to for us and Zetha's department when she presented to CASA, and which is the conference that Ms. Edom mentioned. It was pretty amazing to see the reaction and how many districts across the state wanted to be part of that. That parlayed into a local group of districts working together. And right now there's 4 districts: Hayward, the superintendent from Hayward, from Castro Valley, staff from Pleasanton. They're still looking for a superintendent, and New Haven. We are working together to carry this work forward. And what it looks like, Ms. Edom mentioned some of the key pieces already. For example, at our policy committee meeting in September, we'll be bringing a revision to our discrimination policy to really address the use of the N-word. We're hoping that the board will approve that at the September board meeting. And we'll also be bringing a resolution forward to make the district stance on where we're heading with the use of the N-word clear for everybody. And that'll be 2 things coming forward. From there, that's where the work really begins in our schools, with our families, with our students, with our staff, making sure that people are aware we have a draft student compact that we would ask students and parents to sign, committing to understanding that this word doesn't belong in schools, regardless of the context, and committing to not using it. And then with our staff and with our students, talking about consequences. What does it mean if that happens? And we are focusing on an educational and restorative approach rather than a punitive one when it comes to the casual use of that word. I think Ms. Turner said it best, and Ms. Edom repeated it, that the seeming normalization of the N-word is just not something that we're going to sit around and just watch that happen. We're going to take a stand against it. And obviously, if it's used in a hateful context, that's a whole different thing that will be addressed, of course. But it's the casual use of it that's becoming more and more problematic. And again, this will address all of those things. So that's coming. There'll be a presentation in September, and then followed by some actions we're going to ask the board to take related to that. So we are very thankful. Our partnership with D3A, this work would not have happened without D3A and without their partnership, and with Zetha's team really working directly with D3A and all of us working together as staff to move it forward. So thank you for that. We are on the cutting edge of this. There are, other than the 4 districts that are collaborating together, I don't know of any other districts that are taking this on like this. So it'll be, it's the right thing to do, and it'll be good work coming up. That's it.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna go on with items from the board and superintendent right now. Usually I go your left, my right, and we come back around this way. So we do have I'm really excited about our new student trustee. If you can introduce yourself and whatever you want to report out.
Hi, my name is Benji Bonaflor. I'm the ASB board representative. I'm a senior here at James Logan High School. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here and did I give a report, right? Leadership doing. And leadership is just getting situated with the new school year and just like introducing our new leadership class, and we're really excited for the things we have planned for the school year. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Excited to have you. We'll go ahead with trustee Hernandez. Go ahead and report.
Hello, thank you everyone for coming. Welcome to the 2024-2025 school year. Welcome, student board rep. I hope everyone's had a great break and welcome back. That's all.
Thank you. Okay. Trustee Nishera?
Yes, I have nothing substantive to report, but I would like to welcome student trustee Villaflor.
Okay, trustee Rafe?
Yes, hi. Welcome, new trustee, and I'm excited to work with you. And 2024-25 school year is looking forward to that. And that's all I'd have to share. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Rafe. For me, there was the National Night Out. I did attend the booth, and I had Vice President Kumar next to me, and I realized her popularity because like they kind of told me, get out of the way, we want to talk to Vice President Kumar. So I just didn't realize how popular and how liked she is there. And so I quickly stepped to the side, but it was just a great event though. You know, each year it gets better and better. So it was great to see some folks I haven't seen in years. One of the highlights, one of the top highlights in my as a trustee on the New Haven board was going to the New Haven Day, our celebration staff here at Logan. And I had the honor, privilege, pleasure of speaking to the entire staff there. It was a packed pavilion. Trustee Nishera, I don't know, do you ever remember speaking to the staff? Like, we speak at board meetings, but speaking to the entire staff, it was
a pretty big event. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the first time that happened, and your average teacher, and I told my wife this, you know, they don't come to board meetings. They don't know who we are sometimes, or most of the time. And it was an opportunity for me to address them, and just told my story and of what I've been through and connected with them. And part of that story, I talked about how fortunate they are to have a celebration day. Because all I remember of my first days back to school, I start school on Thursday. Yesterday we had a staff meeting. We talked about data. Like, I don't remember anything else of starting the school year. And so yesterday we talked about data and my district in Hayward. And my colleague said, I'm burned. I was going to clean up my room, work on it, but that data is such a downer that I'm not going to do that. And so, and unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we were smart. We had a celebration day. We had food. The celebration was very positive, and was well received. And so, you know, just another thing to be proud about what New Haven is doing. I'm hoping we have the same thing we can have for next year, reason to celebrate and to see each other, to see all your colleagues, because we don't have that really in Hayward, or they used to have that kind of thing, and we can kind of copy what we got going on here in New Haven and take it to Hayward. So that's just about it, what I have to report out. I'll go ahead and turn it over to the superintendent.
All right, thank you. We did have a great start to the year. It started in July in partnership with NHTA and CSEA at our Leadership Advance, which was a great way to come together and move forward. So we're looking forward to those continued partnerships throughout this year and beyond. Then, as President Gonzalez mentioned, we that day, the first day, Teacher Day back, was again another our latest effort to honor past valued traditions, but bring them forward in a new, innovative way. And so that was we brought back actually that week the bus tour of Assistant Superintendent McNamara and his team. For all the new teachers in the district, they got to go on a bus and see every school site, which is something that was a past tradition that we're bringing forward. That the first day back was something that used to happen, and celebrating the years of service there with new pins and every t-shirts for all the different sites. It was the feedback I got was great. So we're planning on continuing that forward again. So that's great. So that was really a fun way to start the year. This is also the time of year where we're trying to figure out what our exact enrollment is. And it looks like we're on track to where we thought we would be, but we're still calling families that haven't shown up and enrolling new families that we didn't expect to come. So I think by the next board meeting, we should have a much better idea of where we're at for the actual enrollment, because obviously that's a pretty big deal. Our funding is tied to that. So the last thing is, Benji, welcome. I think we're going to set up I think there's a meeting schedule where you and I can get together and we can kind of walk through some stuff and get you acclimated, but looking forward to working with you all year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to committee reports. For the Finance and Technology Facilities Committee, we will not be meeting. When we last met on May 28th, it's to be announced our next meeting. For the Communication Advocacy Committee, Trustee Chair.
Yeah, so our meeting for June 13th, 2024 was canceled. The committee will get together and establish a new meeting date soon. So, but nothing to report at this point.
Okay. And for our Policy Review Committee, we have one scheduled for September 3rd. So that'll be happening. Are there any other committee reports? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. We'll go on to,
Wait.
we do, Trustee
Yeah.
Rafe, go ahead.
There's not much to report except for SELPA meeting will be on September 24th. And there's no other meeting right now. And also the ROP meeting is also not scheduled until August 19th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to 12.1. May I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 005-2424? This is celebrating identity and diversity.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, if you can raise your hand or say aye. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. All right, moving on to the next item. May I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 006/2424. This is National Latinx Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th.
So moved.
Point of order, I think when you read the resolution, I think you said 24. We have 2 on the agenda that is the same. Oh, I apologize. Let me peel that back. I was misreading it.
I also made that same mistake. I had to look at it twice. Yes.
Thanks.
I second it.
Okay, we got a second. Okay, discussion? All those in favor, if you can raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay, oppose? Okay, passes. Okay, we'll go to our next. May I have a motion and a second to approve adult school salary schedule for 24-25?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor, go ahead and raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve certificated salary schedule 24-25?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Okay, all right, passes. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve provisional internship permit?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, go ahead and raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, passes. All right, may I have a motion and a second to approve Director of Facilities and Construction job description provision?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve an agreement for cooperation for professional preparation teacher candidates with the Board of Trustees, Leland Stanford Junior University 24 through 26.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve California intern teacher LEA agreement with Reach University for 24 through 26?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passes. May I have a motion and a second to approve agreement with Inform K through 12?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve superintendent's conference attendance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, are there any items in which trustees have questions or need clarification or would like to be pulled for a separate vote? Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 13.1 through 13.46?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, can I get a roll call for this?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, there were no items pulled, so we'll go to governance review, assessment of governance procedures and protocols. Any comments on that? Okay. Ms. Hernandez, trustee Hernandez, go ahead.
I want to apologize as I was addressing trustee Nishihara. I believe I said Lance. If I may, I know better, so apologies.
Never again, thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, board member requests. One thing I do want to say about procedure and protocol is it's hard when it's online to look. Trustee Rafe, I'm sorry if you did interject. But hopefully we're mindful of that though for next time. So seeing no board requests, I'd like to close tonight's meeting in memory and in honor of our fellow HUSD teacher, Stephanie McKean. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and close out tonight's meeting. Good night, everybody.